Welcome one, welcome all, and welcome to some Nightmare Fuel. I'm Stuart from Unleash the Ghouls, and today I want to talk to you about The Witches. Now, you might have seen the 2020 remake of this film, which is actually a pretty decent version, and it isn't one of those remakes that totally ruins the original or does it any disservice in any way. But I do want to talk about the 1990 original and the first on-screen adaptation of Roald Dahl's 1983 publication by the same name. The Witches follows a story of a young boy named Luke who has taken a relaxing holiday in Norway. He's with his family there, and they're there to see their stereotypically Norwegian named grandma Helga. Nope. Not that Helga, this Helga. His parents die in a car crash, and Luke and Helga end up moving to England together before taking a break at a seaside resort because the grandmother now has diabetes. Fucking death galore! Jesus. Anyway, Helga tells Luke all about these witches that kidnapped her friend when they themselves were kids, and that is what I want to talk about today. Yes, the witches were a bit freaky, and the Grand High Witch herself looks like a possessed pair of testicles when she removes her disguise. However, I've never quite forgotten the story of Erica, Helga's friend that went missing when they were young girls. I don't really know why this one has haunted me so much for so many years. Here we are many years later, and I still find Erica's tale a little bit uncomfortable, and I can still remember the actual nightmares I had around the painting in this story. So what actually happened? Well, sit down kiddos and let me spin you this tale. Erica lived with her extremely strict parents, and they wouldn't let her out to play with the other kids and forced her back inside to the house. However, before she goes in, she catches eyes with this old lady in a window across the street who we immediately know is a witch from the way that she's portrayed. We see her eyes glowing and we see a frog on the table when it pans into where she's standing. When Erica goes inside as ordered, her dad shows her this masterpiece that he's just painted and hung on the wall. The paintings of this farmhouse with a long path leading past a woodland on the right hand side, and it continues onto this picturesque horizon. The dad then orders Erica to go to the shops and get some milk, but on her way to the market she's actually snatched by the witch. No trace of her is found afterward, even after the whole town helps search for her. A few days after this, Helga goes to see her parents, and it's not really explained why she goes, but I assume that it was to pay her respects or just to see if there's any update on her missing friend. The mum then offers Helga in to share some food and drink with them, and the dad enters the room. At this point, both parents look like they've been awake since the kid went missing, and they're clearly just very broken at this point. But immediately the dad starts to portray confusion, and you can see this emotion start pouring into him. As he starts walking towards Helga, we see him staring, but this almost horrified looks on his face, and we can see that he's actually looking past her and at his masterpiece on the wall. And in the window of the farmhouse, Erica is there. It's like she's always been there in the picture, but we know she wasn't, and she's just there staring helplessly back out at the family in the room. Helga tells us while she's narrating over these memories we're seeing visually that over the next however many years, Erica would actually move in the painting. No one would ever see her move, but suddenly she'd just be in a different position doing something else like feeding the ducks, or we see her just leaning up against a fence, but no one would ever actually see her changing position. But the bit that I find truly disturbing and that always stuck with me is that Erica progressively ages. She grows older in the painting constantly. Eventually we see her grow into a teenager, then a young woman, a middle-aged lady, and eventually she becomes an old frail woman. We see her getting older and older until she becomes frail and eventually just stops appearing altogether. Presumably she's died. For me, Erica being trapped alone inside the painting, looking out on the life that she used to have and watching the world go by as she's totally helpless, was and still is quite morbid to me. Her parents watching their child helplessly age must have been torturous. I can still hear her pleading, "Papa, help me Papa," gently from behind that painting, and those words stuck with me, or just at least the way she spoke them. The thought of living in a painting without anyone until you die in some silent death is actually worse than any horror film that I've seen or I've watched or reviewed on this channel. And we've watched some pretty gory shit since we started this channel. And what really stuck with me is the emotions that we can see on Erica's painted face. We can see depression, how scared she is. We can see her eyes reddening like she's been crying. The feeling of helplessness that's portrayed in the picture itself is what stuck with me and really hit me when I was a kid watching this. There's actually a scene in the Chronicles of Narnia where a picture of the sea on the wall starts to flood flood the room, and even that makes me uneasy when the picture starts to move, and I think that's a regressive memory purely from Erica's story in The Witches and the way it terrified me and marked me for life. As a kid, it just scared the shit out of me and stuck with me all these years, but as an adult, I actually realised that Erica was robbed of her life, her family, any companionship, and whilst it seems really obvious to say, she was robbed of any life whatsoever. She just died alone, silently, with no ability to do anything about it, and that's pretty haunting. But what did you lot think? Did this stick with you too? Did you see this when you were younger, and did it have the same impact on you as it did with me? Please do let me know in the comments below so we can chat together about it, and maybe that'll be some kind of therapy and help me through this. But in the meantime, good night and sweet nightmare fueled dreams.